Hey guys, it's Miss O'Connor, and I'm here with your very first live recorded close reading lesson, and it's going to be on Kurt Vonnegut's To Be or Not to Be. The way this is going to work is you can see my screen, and this is the Word document I'm going to be annotating and talking through the important devices on, and you can see it as we go. The thing is this video is also embedded inside of a Google form that looks like this, the To Be or Not to Be guided reading. And you need to be filling this form out as we go through this video. So there are going to be moments where I tell you to pause me and to go and answer the questions that are in that Google form. Also with disclaimers, this is my first time doing this and the first time using this kind of platform. There are going to be mistakes, and I'm just going to ask you to bear with me as we do it. And with that said, we are going to hop right in. This lesson is for Wednesday. You should have already read this short story on your own time with 3 easy CFU questions for the initial reading. And this time I'm not going to read it through you straight to you all the way through. I'm going to point to key moments that happen through it, and you should already know what I'm talking about. Our objective is that students will be able to analyze the social commentary within Kurt Vonnegut's To Be or Not to Be by annotating the text for tone and literary devices. I'm going to be annotating the text as we go, and my annotations are going to show up just like this. Sometimes my handwriting will be messy. I promise I'm trying. Our key points are right there on the screen. You need to know dystopia, social commentary, theme, especially connections for 1984 and Beloved, symbolism and metaphor, illusion, and foreshadowing are all over the place in this story. We're going to start off. The title of this story is the very first illusion. So this is something that you should read as 2BR02B, but this 0 is said as a not. So it becomes to be or not to be, or to be or not to be, which is a reference to the play Hamlet by Shakespeare. And in this play, the main character Hamlet has a monologue where he says to be or not to be. That is the question. And he is wondering if his life has any purpose and if he should accept his death or go and kill himself. So there's themes about suicide, and death, and also perhaps even the hinting of a theme about what the meaning or purpose of life is. The first 3 CFUs you have are about vocab, so I'm going to demonstrate for you what I'm expecting with these vocab words. The main character we have, Edward K. Whaling Jr., could argue that he's the main character, is 56 years old, and he's about to become a father. And he is a stripling in this population. He is 56, and the population average age is 129. So if he is a stripling because he is much younger, then that must mean that this means that somebody who is younger or perhaps less experienced than others. And you can see that the next word I'm going to ask you to do that to is demoralized. So go ahead and pause me, and on your CFUs over here, you should decide what the best definition for demoralized is. See you in a second. Welcome back, and you can see how I annotated for tone here to help me find the definition of the word demoralized. The next word that I really want you to focus on understanding is what is a mural. So go and answer your CFU question about what a mural is. There's some key evidence here about the man. So there's a sardonic old man who is painting it. He's painting it in the lobby of the hospital. So use your context clues and tell me what a mural is. Okay, and we are moving on to our very first major device in this work. So we have the description of the mural. And the mural itself, the description is painting an image, but there is a deeper meaning behind this painting that's being worked on. It represents something with a deeper meaning. So looking at the details of it, we've got men and women in white who are doctors and nurses, and we've got people in purple uniforms. And the people in white are explicitly described as doctors, and they work with living plants in the garden. And these people in purple work with the dead or dying plants. And the last little bit is about how this garden is perfect. It's almost like heaven. Are there any famous gardens that we might associate with heaven? We've got a song here, and this song has got some significance behind it. It's got some important inferences it's asking you to make, because if you see that there is a reference to a girl in purple here. So we've got the people in purple uniforms and the girl in purple in the song. And we can start making connections about what they have in common with each other. The speaker in the song will visit this girl in purple in order to be able to kiss this sad world toodaloo and get off the planet. To die. And what is the purpose of dying? So normally we'd think of people saying that they wanted to go and die or they wanted to kill themselves as being really bad. But in this context, I think it's quite obvious. It's a popular song. It's being sung in the hallway of the hospital. And it sort of romanticizes the death of this person. So there's some sort of like positive association in the society where they want to persuade people that doing this is a good thing. And the title of this mural, we learn, is The Happy Garden of Life. So the painter is having sort of an ironic or a sarcastic attitude about his painting. So we might start to assume that there is something ironic about the mural and about the deeper meaning of that mural. And we get our next clue, again, about this mural, in that the hospital staff are the people who wear white, and the people from the Chicago office for the Federal Bureau of Termination. The Office of the Federal Bureau of Termination. And if the hospital staff are the people who wear white, that means that these must be the people who wear purple. And we already have some of those associations for the color purple. So termination is the third question in your CFU. So please go and take a second to decide what you think the definition of termination must mean. Welcome back. So you finished with the 3 questions about vocab, and we're moving on to the 3 short answer questions. And the first one we're going to be able to answer is actually the number 5, the one about the painter and what the painter thinks of his work. And it's this next body paragraph here. You can draw your own conclusions. We can look at some of the key words here. But at the end of the day, there's something about how this mural is not an honest representation of life. It is the mural does not represent like an honest reality. It's like an idealized or a fake version. And so whatever it is that it's trying to represent or trying to glorify, there. It's also sort of over idealizing it as opposed to representing it truly. Go ahead, and if you need to, pause me and start writing up your answers for, number 4 and number 5 there, and we're going to keep moving along to the fourth character that gets introduced on page 3. The woman in purple walks on, and she is immediately described with some very negative connotations. She's called coarse and formidable. These are very like rough, kind of scary, very unfeminine words to be associated with a woman. And she is also wearing that infamous color purple. And this purple is then described explicitly as the color of grapes on Judgment Day. So take a quick second for yourself and think, what device do you think is being used here? Welcome back. So you can see that this is a biblical allusion, which means that it references something from the Bible. And this reference to Judgment Day obviously talks about the end of the world. And I want to challenge you, if you can, to go and find this reference in the Bible. It's pretty easy to look up on Google. And if you need a little bit of help, there's a hint over here. You're looking for the Book of Revelations, and chapter 14 or 15 will have the references that you need. And you're looking for what are these grapes on Judgment Day? What do they mean? And what is the effect of associating them with the woman who works for this Bureau of Termination? So the ultimate goal here is the effect of the association. Between the grapes and the woman. Okay, moving on from our biblical allusion here. We've got a little bit of description about the lady, which has a bit of a metaphor about how her workplace corrupts her. We've got some strange foreshadowing around this word immortalized. To be immortalized means to live forever in people's memory. And in this society, people literally live forever, so why would she need to be immortalized into art? We see a few euphemisms about what her actual job is, and then we get the real hit on what her job is. She ends up choosing to be put into the mural, so she's there to be drawn and put into the mural, and she ends up choosing a person whose job it is to prune an apple tree, cut off a dead branch, standing next to Dr. Hitz. And we see what it is that's so wonderful about Dr. Hitz for the first time. We've got this biblical allusion already with the grapes, and that's very explicitly from the Bible, very explicitly Christian. So we're allowed to start making this inference about the garden and the garden that's being shown in the mural, because we've got the very famous garden from the Bible, which would be the Garden of Eden. And if we're going with these Christian and biblical associations, then by calling Heinz an omnipotent Zeus. So Zeus was a Greek god, and compared to Christian religions, he's a false god, a false or a fake god that people admire. We're moving on to the last 2 pages or so of the story. I only have about 30 seconds left in this video. So you know that this story ends with 3 people dying because the law of this world is that no new people are allowed to come in unless people who already live agree to make room for them. And the trouble of the father wailing is to find out how he can make room for his 3 kids. And it comes down to the question of whether or not the government is allowed to decide who lives and who dies. And what is the author's social commentary? that he is making about governments that can choose